Hello everyone. My name is Jonathan Hale. I build things for a living. I want to share the story of how my life changed with one family dinner. The dinner that revealed that my brother was sleeping with my wife, her pregnancy, and my parents' cover-up. Once again, I'm Jonathan Hale. I build things for a living. Tables that outlast arguments. Cabinets that hold secrets. Staircases that carry families up and down through years of birthdays and funerals. Would make sense to me. People don't. Especially my family. Growing up, there were two sons in the Hale house. Marcus. And the other one. You see, I always knew I wasn't the favorite. It was never said outright, but I just knew. Marcus was the golden child. The miracle baby. The one who just had something special. My mother said that a lot. She'd say, Marcus has presence. Apparently, I had silence. I always felt like I was a shadow in the house. I was just there. I tried not to feel hurt about it. I kept thinking, it's not a big deal. I knew my parents loved me, but I always knew they loved Marcus more. In my family, Marcus was the star. He was the child that one who could do no wrong. Marcus broke rules. I followed them. Marcus crashed Dad's car at 17. Dad just said, it was an accident. Sometimes these things just happen. Marcus didn't get punished. I dented the mailbox backing out of the driveway once. Dad told me I needed to be more responsible. So, I paid for the repairs out of my grocery store job. If Marcus got an B on a test, the paper would be pinned to the refrigerator, like a shrine to his brilliance. If I got an A, I'd get A, that's nice dear, and then the conversation would circle back to Marcus and his achievements. This went on all through high school. In my junior year, I remember I was so excited about building a table in shop class. I really put a lot of work into it. I was proud and excited to show my parents. When I showed it to them, they mentioned that it looked crooked and stated that I should probably keep in my room or the garage. Marcus saw it and laughed so hard that he had tears coming out of his eyes. I just decided to keep it in the garage. After that, I didn't bring any of my projects home. When it was time for college, Marcus wanted to find himself in Europe at 22. My parents funded 6 months abroad. I decided to take another path. I wanted trade school. Dad told me, you're good with your hands. You don't need school for that. But I went anyway. Paid my own way. I became a carpenter. Marcus became a lifestyle. I graduated from college and decided to open my own shop. I decided I would offer bespoke and one-of-a-kind furniture pieces. I was so excited. I called my parents and told them about my business plan. My mother said, "Oh, that's nice." My father just said, "Don't call us when you fail. Your brother, Marcus, is the one with the head for business. Marcus just got a promotion at work, and his manager has been singing his praises to the whole department." They threw Marcus a promotion dinner, while barely mentioning my new business venture. I didn't mind, that's how it had always been. I didn't hate Marcus, but I wished they could show me the same consideration. Sometimes, I resented my parents for never really seeing me. I just wanted them to notice me and my achievements too. I thought, once my business takes off, they will be equally proud of me too. I had been working on building my business for the past 2 years. It started slow. It was just me in the shop. I started by making small things, like benches or stools. The work was steady. I wasn't really making much of a profit. I decided to visit small businesses in the area. I asked them if I could make something small for them for free. I made a beautiful desk for a local dental office. They were so impressed that they ordered another one for their second location. People noticed and asked where they found such a beautiful and unique piece. People started calling. It was gradual at first. I also started to market my pieces online, which I'd not done before. Soon, I was making more custom orders. I was finally turning a profit. When I finally told my family, they seemed happy for me. Paige came into my life like sunlight through workshop dust. She was sharp, funny, beautiful in a way that didn't demand attention but always got it. Paige was my biggest supporter. She was the one person who saw me. She said she liked that I was steady. That word should have warned me. Steady men are safe. And safe men are taken for granted. She was my rock, my safe place, my home. We got married in a modest ceremony. I built her dining table myself. Marcus was my best man. He gave a speech about loyalty and brotherhood. I remember thinking how lucky I was. I was an idiot. 5 months ago is when my world fell apart. Initially, I was so happy. My wife was having my baby. We were still discussing baby names and color swatches. We chose not to find out gender of the baby and to keep it a surprise. I had been busy building the baby's crib. I was so excited to be a father. I decided I wanted to be different from my parents. I would show all my children love equally. We talked about having at least 2 kids, possibly 3. My parents had invited us to dinner. I accepted knowing that once the baby was born, we wouldn't have as much free time. As we were driving over to my parents' house for dinner, I felt a little uneasy. My parents still sometimes compared me to Marcus. It didn't bother me as much as it used to, but it still made me feel insecure. However, my parents seemed to love Paige, so that made spending time with them feel a little better. Paige seemed to sense my uneasiness. She squeezed my hand and told me how much she loved me. I told her that I loved her too. I was glad she was sitting at my side. She said, "We are going to have a great night." Then she smiled at me, and I knew everything would be okay. Marcus would also be there. Having Paige by my side made even dinner with him bearable. The dinner was exactly as I'd expected, however, something seemed a little off. As usual, the conversation revolved around Marcus and his success. My parents were beaming with pride. They barely mentioned my business. They also gushed about the baby. They were extremely excited about being grandparents. I was taken aback because they had never been this enthusiastic about anything that had to do with me. They mentioned how great a mom Paige would be and how great a dad Marcus would be someday. I saw Marcus look at Paige with a sad expression. I didn't think much about it that evening. I did notice that Paige also gave him a wry smile. A few days after the dinner, I noticed Paige seemed off. It started small. Paige guarding her phone. Marcus showing up unannounced when I was working late. Marcus and I were not close, so it was strange for him to come over just because. Marcus started saying he just wanted to keep Paige company because he knew I was working late. He seemed to always be there. My mother insisted I was imagining things when I mentioned how close they'd gotten. Then came the night I forgot my tape measure and came home early. Marcus's car was in my driveway. Paige's bedroom curtains were drawn. I didn't storm in. I didn't scream. I stood in the driveway and watched the upstairs light turn off. Something inside me shifted. Wood splits along its grain when pressure is applied long enough. So do men. That night, I went to my parents' home. I needed to talk to someone. I was thinking that I was crazy, but I couldn't stop thinking about them being alone together. When I arrived, my mother let me in. I told her that I need to talk to her and Dad about Marcus. I was nervous, so I decided to go to the bathroom first. I looked in the mirror, splashed water on my face, and tried to calm my nerves. As I was heading down the stairs, I heard my parents whispering in the kitchen. I couldn't understand what they were saying, so I moved closer to the door. They were speaking in hushed, urgent tones. I heard my mother saying, "Marcus doesn't know if it's his baby." They were only together a few times. I heard my father say, "I wished he'd met her before Jonathan, then everyone would be happy. We must keep everything secret until the baby is born." My mother sighed, "If Paige's baby is Marcus, it will devastate Jonathan." My blood went cold. My wife and my brother, how could this be? My parents know and never told me. They were talking about my wife and brother as if this was just a simple lapse in judgment. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't stay there. I had to get out. I walked slowly, quietly to the front door and just walked into the night. Outside, I threw up on the lawn. My parents knew and didn't tell me. That was when I knew my parents never really loved me. How could they love me and lie to me so blatantly? No wonder they were so happy about the baby. They thought Marcus was the father. Was he? Was Marcus the father of my baby? My father called me to ask where I was, but I told him I was feeling sick and had to go home. I just drove. I drove for hours. I don't even remember how I got home. By the time I got home, a plan was starting to take shape. I didn't confront them. I measured, observed, collected phone records, text previews, security footage from the small camera I'd installed in the garage months earlier after tools went missing. I found hotel receipts in Marcus's name. On dates, Paige said she was visiting her sister. The worst part wasn't the affair. It was my parents. I went to their house one Sunday unannounced. He was there. Paige was there. They were sitting at the kitchen table like a happy little unit. My mother froze when she saw me. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. That's when I knew. They were complicit. Later, I overheard my mother whisper, "It's better this way. Marcus needs stability." Stability. They meant my wife. I started to look at Paige differently after that night. Marcus stopped coming around after that. Coward. I still didn't let on that I knew. Then came the announcement. A baby shower hosted by my mother at my parents' house. For Paige and Marcus. They didn't even have the decency to hide it anymore. They were rewriting the story. Making me the unstable one. The jealous one. The bitter spare son. I realized something that night while in my workshop. They thought I would stay quiet. They thought I would swallow it like I always had. They forgot something. I build things. And I had built a case. With Paige, I thought I had found my forever person. I thought we would have children and build a stable life together. I thought, I'm the luckiest man in the world. I thought we would be the perfect little family. I decided it was time to put my plan into action. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I smiled. I told Paige I needed time, but I wanted to support the baby. She looked relieved. My parents softened toward me. Marcus avoided eye contact. I hired a lawyer quietly. Filed paperwork. Collected financial records. Saved screenshots. Backed everything up in triplicate. Then I built something else. A slideshow. Simple. Clean. Timestamped. Undeniable. Photos. Messages. Security footage stills. Bank transfers from my father to Marcus covering rent. While my wife texted him, "I can't wait to see you tonight." I didn't plan chaos. I planned truth. And truth, when timed correctly, is louder than screaming. The baby shower was fast approaching, and I needed to make sure I had everything in order. It was going to be an interesting night. The day arrived bright and cruel. Pink balloons. Gold streamers. A banner that read, "Welcome Baby Hale." Not my last name, Marcus's. That was new. I walked in carrying a wrapped box. My mother forced a smile. "Jonathan, I'm so glad you came." Marcus wouldn't look at me. Paige looked pale. Good. People gathered, friends, extended family, and church members. My father tapped his glass for attention. "We're here to celebrate new beginnings." I almost laughed. New beginnings require endings. And I was about to provide one. When it was time for gifts, I stepped forward. "I have something I'd like to share," I said. My voice didn't shake. Years of being ignored teaches you control. I connected my laptop to the television in my parents' living room. My father frowned. Marcus stood up slightly. "Jonathan, what are you doing?" "Finishing something," I said. The first slide appeared. A screenshot. A text message. From Paige, "I wish Jonathan were more like you." Murmurs. Next slide. Hotel receipt. Next. Security still. Marcus entering my house at 2:13 p.m. while I was clocked in at a job site. My mother whispered my name like a warning. I kept clicking. Then came the audio. My parents' voices from that Sunday in the kitchen. It's better this way. Marcus needs stability. Silence filled the room so completely it felt solid. I looked at Marcus. For once, I said calmly, you don't get to be the favorite. Paige started crying. Marcus started denying. My father stood up red-faced. Turn this off. No, I said. I've spent my whole life turning things off. My feelings. My instincts. My self-respect. I turned to the guests. I filed for divorce 3 weeks ago. There's a paternity test scheduled. And my lawyer has everything you just saw. Gasps. Shock. Reputation cracking like dry wood. I won't raise another man's child. I won't finance your betrayal. And I won't pretend anymore. Then I unplugged the laptop. Silence again. Not my silence, theirs. I was done. The truth was out. I looked at the shocked faces of my family and for the first time in my life, I felt nothing. I had done what needed to be done. So, I picked up my belongings, and I left before the fallout, before the shouting began. I just got in my car and drove away. My phone exploded with messages. Half of them asking if it was true. Half of them apologizing for not seeing it. Marcus's number flashed repeatedly. I blocked it. Paige sent one message. You humiliated me. I replied once. You replaced me. Then I blocked her too. I turned off my phone and checked into a cheap motel. I stayed for 3 days and all I heard was silence. The silence was a relief. On the 3rd day, my cousin called to tell me he was sorry for what was happening to me. He was disappointed in my brother and parents. My cousin told me things were crazy after I left. The extended family read my family the riot act. They shamed them for their choices. That evening, I went back to my house for the first time. I went to our former bedroom and packed my bags. I loaded my things into my car and left. I filed for divorce the next day. Divorce proceedings moved quickly once the evidence surfaced. A paternity test was done immediately. The paternity test confirmed what we all knew. Not mine. My parents tried to reach out. Said we should handle this privately. I declined. Privacy had been their weapon. I sold the house. We split the money, and I walked away with enough to start over, completely. Kept my tools. Moved into a small place closer to my workshop. There's something peaceful about starting from bare studs. You strip out the rot. You reinforce the frame. You rebuild carefully. I don't hate Marcus. Not anymore. Golden things are often plated. Scratch them deep enough and you find cheap metal underneath. As for me, I was never the golden child. I was the foundation. And foundations don't need applause. They just need to be strong enough to stand alone. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.